The top stories tonight in Y News. President Bongbong Marcos Jr. and U.S. President Joe Biden held their first face-to-face talks on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly, during which they reaffirmed their support for freedom of navigation and overflight in the South China Sea. One of the framers of the 1987 Constitution maintained that there was no need to overhaul the charter. Motorists have been apprehended for breaking traffic laws can now submit a complaint online. Around 200 whales have died and just 32 remain alive following a mass stranding in Australia this week. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Friday, September 23, 2022. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am Harleen Delgado. First in the news. President Bongbong Marcos met with U.S. President Joe Biden on the fifth day of his working visit to the United States. Out of 48 other requests that day, the U.S. President selected to meet with President Marcos, according to Press Secretary Trixie Cruz Angeles. Meanwhile, President Marcos also presented to the World Bank his administration's policies. Beverly Saison will tell us why.
The importance of the topics that had to be discussed between the U.S. and the Philippines may have been a reason why U.S. President Joe Biden chose to meet with President Bongbong Marcos out of the other 48 requests he received that day. This according to Press Secretary Trixie Cruz Angeles. The two presidents spoke about their plans to strengthen U.S.-Philippine collaborations regarding economic development, the fight against climate change, and the COVID-19 pandemic, and maintaining peace in the Southeast Pacific. President Biden also hopes that they can discuss more about the South China Sea and disputes in critical global thruway.
In addition, I expect we'll discuss the South China Sea and disputes in critical global thruway. I've spent a lot of time with not only the President of China, but others about the international waters and how they have to be respected, and we should talk about that a little bit, I hope.
President Marcos Jr. also met with top executives from the World Bank, which first partnered with the Philippines in 1945. PBBM also met with representatives from Procter & Gamble, also known as P&G, a global manufacturing company. P&G first started their operations in the Philippines 80 years ago, and Philippines remains the third oldest P&G subsidiary in the world. Thereafter, President Marcos Jr. receives the Sutherland Global Services, one of the world's largest process transformation companies that serve global leaders in major industry verticals, spanning 60 locations across 19 countries. The president also met with executives from ITBPM and CEOs in the digital infrastructure industry as part of his pledge to improve digital connectivity across the Philippines. Beverly Saison, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Meanwhile, Press Secretary Trixie Cruz Angeles issued an apology after incorrectly reporting that U.S. President Joe Biden had only spoken to President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. in New York during the UN General Assembly. According to White House readouts available on its website, Biden also met with at least 3 other leaders at the margins of the UNGA. While acknowledging that her first claim was untrue, Angeles insisted that the Philippines' request for Marcos to meet with Biden outside the UNGA was the only one that had been approved. President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. maintained the Philippines' foreign policy that it is a friend to all countries, a mantra of his predecessor, former President Rodrigo Duterte. A political analyst believes the president's friendly approach will benefit the country in the long run. Dante Amento explains why.
The Philippines was given the chance to tell the United Nations that we are friends with all other countries, according to political analyst Professor Ramon Casiple. During his speech before the UN General Assembly, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. explained our foreign policy.
Pareho pa rin ang patakaran ni Presidente Marcos. Ito yung pagkaibigan sa lahat. Kahit sa China, kahit sa Russia, kahit sa US. Iba nga lang talaga kasi may kasaysayan yung relasyon natin sa Amerika at merong treaty tayo sa kanya. Pero mahalaga na diin ni Presidente yung pakipagrelasyon natin ng maayos sa lahat ng mga bansa.
PBBM was able to explain to the UN the various problems the country is facing.
Halimbawa, yung mga problema natin sa South China Sea with China, mahalaga yan Sa speech ni Presidente, nilabas yan. Alam ng China na ang paglabas niyan ay considered na international issue.
The Philippines, in Kasiple's opinion, will undoubtedly benefit from the President's recent engagements in the UN and during his conversations with several world leaders, including United States President Joe Biden. Biden said that America would continue to be the Philippines' ally.
Napalakas ang ating relasyon ulit. Kung meron mang problema nung nakaraang administrasyon, tingin ko parang clean slate ito Isa pa, malaki din ang okasyon na ito para sa mga Pilipino na sa Amerika. Nakita mo yung kanyang itinerary. Nagsalita din siya sa mga kababayan natin doon.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Department of Justice, or DOJ, will forego the filing of a motion for reconsideration before the Manila Regional Trial Court. This after the court junked the instant petition to declare the Communist Party of the Philippines and the New People's Army, or CPP-NPA, a terrorist group. DOJ spokesperson Attorney Miko Clavano said they will file a new prescription case under the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020 instead, before the Court of Appeals. Clavano added they opted not to file a motion for reconsideration because the basis of the RTC decision is the Human Security Act, which was repealed by the anti-terrorism law. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board is set to issue a memorandum circular waiving penalties for late registration of public utility vehicles. Asher Kadapan Jr. tells us why.
Some operators of public utility vehicles are still restrained from resuming their operation. PUV operators complain of costly penalties from late registration and expiration of franchise validity after they were forced to stop operation due to pandemic. This amid the high demand for conveyances as the economy normalizes and schools implement face-to-face classes. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, on their part, heed the call of PUV operators.
Pinarating na rin sa amin yung concern na yan with respect sa mga penalties kung pwede nga raw i-waive. So mag-issue din kami ng MC, nag-agree na rin ang board that we will waive some of the penalties for this PUJs naman. Well, hindi naman lahat PUJs, pero for all PUVs na tumatakbo.
The LTFRB is also looking to issue another memorandum circular in extending the validity of expired franchise of concerned PUVs. LTFRB Chairperson Cheloy Garafil says they may implement the same provision they extended to shuttle services or school buses. The board earlier extended the franchise of the school buses to another 2 years after being affected by the pandemic.
Marami sa kanila, 2 years talagang natenga at nahihirapan sila dahil hindi sila nakapagbiyahe. So we considered it based na rin doon sa kanilang pakiusap. So we will also issue a memorandum circular addressing those issues naman.
The LTFRB says they will release the memorandum circulars within the following days. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
U.S. President Joe Biden accused Russian President Vladimir Putin of shamelessly violating the United Nations, calling the world community to stand against Russia. Ruth Bahay will tell us why live. Ruth?
Kat, after Russian President Vladimir Putin threatened to use nuclear weapons for defense, the President of the United States, Joe Biden, took the opportunity at the United Nations General Assembly to call on the country's leaders and urge Putin to stop. During his speech yesterday, President Biden criticized President Putin for his recklessness and nuclear threats.
Today, President Putin has made overt nuclear threats against Europe and a reckless disregard for the responsibilities of the non-proliferation regime. Now, Russia is calling up more soldiers to join the fight, and the Kremlin is organizing a sham referenda to try to annex parts of Ukraine, an extremely significant violation of the UN Charter.
President Putin previously stated this week that Russia will continue to use nuclear forces and use all means available to defend their territory if threatened. Sergei Lavrov, Russia's foreign minister, has defended the decision, reiterating that the reason for the invasion was due to the oppression Russian speakers face in Ukraine, adding that the Western support which Ukraine gained was a danger to Russia. Meanwhile, U.S. State Secretary Antony Blinken commented that President Putin chose to make such threats to add more to the fire at the UN General Assembly was this week. Back to you, Kath.
Thank you, Ruth Bahay, for that live report. 2 more whales died in Australia after a handful that had been refloated a day earlier stranded themselves again. Marvy Delfin will give us the details live. Marvy? We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, Herlene.
Thank you, Kath. Tropical storm Karding has slightly intensified as it approaches the country. State Weather Bureau Pagasa says as of 4 p.m., Karding was spotted 970 kilometers east of northern Luzon while moving westward. It has a maximum sustained winds of 75 kilometers per hour near the center and gustiness of up to 90 kilometers per hour. Over the weekend, light to moderate with at times heavy rains may begin over Batanes, Cagayan, Isabela, and the northern portion of Aurora. While heavy to intense rains over the northern portion of Aurora, Isabela, Quirino, Nueva Vizcaya, Benguet, La Union, and Pangasinan are expected on Sunday through Monday early morning. Moderate to heavy rains with at times intense rains will also prevail over Cagayan, Ilocos provinces, Nueva Ecija, Tarlac, the northern portion of Zambales, and the rest of Cordillera Administrative Region, and light to moderate with at times heavy rains over the rest of Cagayan Valley and central Luzon. Meanwhile, occasional rains may also affect southern Luzon, including Metro Manila and Visayas, beginning Sunday due to the southwest monsoon partly influenced by Karding. Karding is forecast to gradually intensify and likely to make landfall over northern Luzon on Sunday as a severe tropical storm. One of the framers of the 1987 Constitution maintained that there was no need to overhaul the charter. This comes after Presidential Legal Counsel Juan Ponce Enrile proposed to the Senate Committee on Constitutional Amendments to scrap the 1987 Constitution and go back to the 1935 Constitution. Attorney Christian Monsod believes amendments in the charter can be studied, but not a total overhaul. He adds the 1935 version of the Constitution has no provision on social justice, which is the heart of the 1987 Constitution. In writing the charter, Monsod emphasized that they want to avoid another authoritarianism rule to uplift the lives of the poor and to protect the economy. He also explained why they decided to remove the words imminent danger in the martial law provision under the current charter. This, as Enrile also proposed, to put back imminent danger as one of the bases in declaring martial law and give absolute power to the president in declaring such. According to Monsod, they removed it as a basis to prevent a repeat of the Marcos dictatorship.
Pag nilagay mo yung imminent danger thereof, masyadong malawak na yung interpretasyon nun and nobody can question it. And that's what happened. Ang pinag-uusapan namin ng Constitutional Commission, how can we address the problem na meron talagang emergency and talagang kailangan ng extraordinary power, pero meron din namang magre-review o titingnan in due course, no? Now, ang tanong ko sa mga kababayan natin, haven't we learned the lesson of absolute rule by one person? Gusto ba ninyong maulit yan o hindi?
Amid proposals to amend or revise the Constitution, Monsod advises lawmakers to set aside their personal interests in viewing the issue. He also appealed to Filipinos to be vigilant and study the moves of those who want to tinker with the Constitution.
Sabihin ko sa mga people who want to change this and change that and so on. Pag-aralan naman ninyo mabuti. Huwag yung ambisyon ang nangyayari. At sasabihin mo naman sa mga kababayan natin, suriin kung anong motive, kung anong purpose. Kasi kung it does not do anything to help the poor and to address poverty and inequality, kalokohan yan.
The firearm registration system of the Firearms and Explosive Office of the Philippine National Police has been affected by a computer glitch. However, the PNP insisted that gun owners do not need to be concerned about the issue. Leia Ilagan reports why.
The Philippine National Police is working to resolve the issue it ran into while combining the three systems used to register guns owned by licensed owners. PNP Firearms and Explosives Office Chief Colonel Kenneth Lucas said the measure aims to combine three distinct systems now utilized by their office into one system. Lucas said the computer glitch came out during the consolidation of three systems that were developed in 2004, 2008, and 2017.
Unfortunately, nagkaroon ng glitch ng migration. Ito yung tawag ng mga IT expert glitch yung nangyari. Kung halimbawa, meron kang firearm registered doon sa first system, no, nag-migrate ngayon doon sa main server sana natin, nahigop niya yon pati yung second and third.
As of 6 a.m., the FEO has 90% of the glitch fixed yesterday. Lucas said the remaining 10% of the damage is being repaired by their information technology specialist. According to Lucas, the FEO has records for at least 2.3 million firearms, whereas only 1.7 million are categorized as loose guns. The official reassured licensed gun owners that there is no need to be concerned because their files will be restored to normal. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources allays public concerns on the safety of the frozen imported round scad or galunggong. Ray Palayo will tell us why.
Consumers may still purchase imported round scad products in Manila's Central Market. The price now is 200 pesos per kilogram based on the Agriculture Department's data from previous 175. This is still less expensive in comparison to the locally produced, which is now priced at 240 pesos per kilogram. The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources declared that imported round scad are safe to eat as long as they are kept at a temperature of -18 degrees Celsius and their shelf life can exceed a year.
Pagka gano'n, nasusunod ang required temperature at nasa loob siya ng cold storage facility, masasabi natin na ligtas pa rin naman siyang i-consume.
Leia, a fresh fish vendor, said they are eating even the frozen imported fish.
Pareho lang ng po ng lasa niya. Lalo po pag prito, mas masarap pa nga po yung imported kesa sa local.
According to Pamalakaya, imported fish competes with the local catch since it sells for less money. To help them recover from the effects of the high price of petroleum products, They are requesting a 15,000 peso production subsidy from the government. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
A police detachment will be established at the Masungi Geo Reserve in Baras, Rizal to uphold law and order after reports of violence stemming from claims of ownership in the 400 hectares of property. JP Nunez reports.
Due to the ongoing land dispute at the reforestation project at the Masungi Geopark, a police station will be established by the Philippine National Police in the conservation area. The Provincial Police Office of Rizal had already been ordered by PNP Chief General Rodolfo Azurin Jr. to deploy mobile forces in the area. The detachment intends to maintain peace and order and to immediately respond to Masungi's Park Rangers when illegal claimants occur in the area. Meanwhile, the Department of the Interior and local government will assist the Department of Environment and Natural Resources in expelling those who are constructing structures within the conservation area.
Isa-isahin natin sino mga occupant ngayon dito. Huwag na dapat dumami ito. Make sure kung may bago, giba agad dito. Giba agad dito. Ha? Magtulungan na lang tayo dito.
DENR warned that the process would take time since they could still need to review the Masungi survey plan and the documents of the other properties in the area that were claiming ownership.
Kaya ngayon po, bigyan nyo lang po kami ng konting pagkakataon. Nire-review po natin lahat ng mga claims dito. Kahit na yung mga existing na mga tenure instrument, nire-review din po natin. Gagawin po natin dito, pag-review natin ay maaayon po sa batas.
The Masungi Geo Reserve Foundation think that government should have done more to protect the landscape that prevents floods in the Metro Manila area. They asserted that actions are taking too much time despite hearing plans from government agencies.
Our lives are in danger. Binabaril kami, binomol kami. Ano yung review ng contract na naman? Tagal na, 5 taon. The government squandered 5 years just to conduct it. There's negligence.
The group also thanked the DILG for taking action to resolve the dispute over alleged land robbery in Lot 10 of Kilometer 48 in Rizal. The Tanay PNP claims that the armed men who were allegedly occupying a portion of the conservation area with firearms voluntarily left the protected landscape. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Two more whales died in Australia after a handful that had been refloated a day earlier stranded themselves again. Marvy Delfin will give us the details why live. Marvy?
Kath, from a group of approximately 230 pilot whales that became stranded this week on Tasmania's wild and desolate west coast, roughly 200 have already died. The whales were found in Macquarie Harbour on Wednesday. The majority were apparently still alive, but the pounding waves claimed many more lives. On Thursday, 32 of the 35 survivors were successfully refloated by wildlife experts. According to Department of Natural Resources and Environment Tasmania, several of the whales showed up on the beach once more on Friday. Although he was unable to provide an exact figure, he stated it was fewer than 10. Meanwhile, Vanessa Pirota, wildlife scientist specializing in marine mammals, said the fact that the same species of whales were stranded again at the same time and at the same location suggests there might be an environmental factor involved. However, it is too soon to give an explanation on the incident. On the other hand, 14 sperm whales were found early this week on King Island in the Bass Strait, part of the state of Tasmania. Dr. Olaf Meinecke, marine scientist from Griffith University, said it is not usual for sperm whales to wash ashore, and there's a possibility that warmer temperatures changes the ocean currents and location of the food. Kath?
Thank you, Marvy Delfin, reporting live from Australia. After having its borders blocked for more than 2 years owing to the COVID epidemic, Japan will once again welcome international travelers. Jane Robles will tell us why live. Jane?
Kath, Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida announced that the country will lift its border restrictions to tourists and visitors starting on the 11th of October. This follows the Prime Minister's pledge to ease the country's restrictions as part of its plan to recover economically in the tourism sector. The country gradually reopened its borders back in June, limiting daily arrivals to 50,000. But the lifting of restrictions will mean that the daily cap would be removed and short-term visitors would no longer require visas to enter. However, visitors must still provide proof of completed triple vaccinations and must pass a COVID-19 test upon arrival. The government is also considering to pass a bill that will allow hotels and accommodation to refuse guests if they do not follow the country's health and safety precautions. Japan's yen also faced its lowest in the past decades, with only roughly 145 yen to $1. This would attract tourists even more. The Prime Minister plans to capitalize the sudden decline by easing travel restrictions and added that the increase in tourists would be a boost to the government once the borders are open. Back to you, Cass.
Thank you, Jane Robles reporting live. For the first time in 3 decades, the National Aeronautics Space Administration, or NASA, has released the first images of planet Neptune captured by the James Webb Space Telescope, which shows a clear view of the planet's rings, which was first detected by NASA's Voyager 2 in 1989. The image also shows Neptune's fainter dust bands, and Webb's telescope also captured Neptune's known 14 moons, including Triton, its large and unusual moon. Astronomers speculate that Triton was originally a Kuiper belt object due to its unusual backward orbit, but was gravitationally captured by Neptune. Neptune is located 30 times further from the Sun than Earth, and it orbits in the remote, dark region of the outer solar system. Also referred to as an ice giant due to the chemical makeup of its interior, Neptune was discovered by scientists in 1846. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I'm Kat Dumaraos, live from Bangkok, Thailand. Good evening.
Motorists who may have been wrongly apprehended by MMDA enforcers due to traffic violations may now file disputes virtually. Asher Kadapan Jr. tells us why.
Despite lowering cases of COVID-19, the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority implements measures to protect their personnel and operation. This is by providing online platform where motorists apprehended due to traffic violations may virtually file a dispute to the agency. MMDA Acting Chairman Carlo De Mayuga III says this will also prevent motorists in submitting incomplete documents necessary for the dispute process.
This is just an option. The physical filing po is tuloy-tuloy pa rin po yan. Pero para po natin maiwasan yung pagbiyahe, babalik po tayo pagka hindi kumpleto ang requirements dun sa mga meron pong access for online service. Ito po ay napakaganda.
The MMDA handles online complaints from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Mondays to Fridays, while those who will file beyond 5 p.m. will be processed the next working day.
I think this is only like 5-10 minutes of application, and then mai-upload nyo lang po ang inyong mga tickets together with your ORCR. Kayo po ay in 3 days matatawagan po ng MMDA for your the acceptance and the schedules of the adjudication traffic.
In case of unfavorable resolution, the MMDA chief says the complainant may physically file a motion for reconsideration addressed to the head of the Traffic Adjudication Division. They may likewise physically file an appeal addressed to the MMDA chairman should there be an unfavorable resolution of the motion for reconsideration. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Our Kasangbahay. As the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
Good day. I'm Brother Eli Soriano of the members of the Church of God International. I want to invite you to join us in a minute of prayer every day to pray for humanity and the whole world as we go through these perilous times. While safety measures like washing of hands and strengthening of our immune systems may help us through this horrible predicament, there is still no precaution or cure more powerful than God's mighty intervention. And we need His intervention now more than ever. It doesn't matter what religion you are in or what denomination you belong. This is an invitation for all the people around the world who cares for the future of their family, friends, loved ones, and humanity as a whole. Everybody is welcome to pray with us. For more details, you can check out the description box below. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you.
Before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of 1 Peter, chapter 3, verse 17, it says, "For it is better, if the will of God be so, that ye suffer for well-doing than for evil-doing." Reasons behind the news, September 23, 2022. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Harleen Delgado. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. We serve the people. We give glory to God.